Signifies to the Borg that I'm about to make a podcast or something. Fucking thing.
Contacts Big Brother.
It's like, was that necessary? What's going on here? Yeah, man. So dude,
man.
I'm glad you reached out. It looks like you're connected with Kev and the crew over there at
man.
I always call them Unf Pods because I start to think of their handle. I'm like, it's not Unfun. It's Unf Pods. And I'm like, well, just what's the whole name again? Unfiltered Studios. Yeah.
Yep. I'm part of the Umph squad. Yep,
I like that.
They're good people over there.
Have you done that for a while?
I think we've been apart for, I guess, close to a year, I guess, now, yeah.
Yeah. So
they're pretty good, man.
It's not, it only came into my radar about a year ago, and I don't think it was that many people then, maybe half a dozen. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, when I got in, it was probably about 10 or 11 when I joined. And then since then, we've grown to about, I want to say like 23 or so.
Holy moly,
Yeah, maybe about 24 shows. Now, some, they got welcomed in, and I haven't heard from them since, and so, there were like 2 or 3, maybe 4 that, I don't know, man. And it's fine. Like, I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't bother me at all. But it's, like they kind of came in, and then that was it. That's the last we heard. Maybe they released like 2 or 3 episodes. Which is cool. I don't care. It's not like, they're not taking a spot from somebody else.
Nah. And it's probably more of a reflection on their relationship with podcasting than you guys as a group.
Yeah, which we know is hard, man. It's it was pretty much what we're going to talk about today. It's fucking difficult.
Definitely. We're getting aligned
but
with
good people, man.
Yeah, what you're doing, like getting aligned with that, because like you get new people, maybe like a chamber of commerce. If you've ever been in an entrepreneurial situation, and you thought you had to join the chamber. A lot of times those are really cool, but they are what you put into them. If you show up to the breakfast and you go to the after hours mixers and you shake all the real estate guys' hands and the insurance guys' hands just to get to the one contractor you want to meet.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's useful. Fuck yeah, that's useful. Yeah. And but if you just join and don't go because you're a wallflower or for whatever you just don't have the time, then the chamber won't work. Pretty much, I don't think any mutual beneficial kind of benefit society would work. So I love that.
I will say, though, man, as soon as we joined, I'm talking like within weeks, I saw the percentage of downloads, increase dramatically. And
really?
So, it really helped out. Just, us putting, even as something as small as just people, getting a hell of a lot more retweets on Twitter of our episodes and things like that. It definitely jumped dramatically. And everybody for the most part, everybody tries to listen to each other's shows whenever it comes out, or at least a couple of minutes of it, right? So they can get up, we can start to beat the algorithms a little bit.
Yep.
And so that's certainly helpful. And we just started this thing last week or 2 weeks ago called Pod Raids. So, each week we'll rate each other's podcasts, and everybody will listen to as many podcasts as we can of that person's show. And all week long we try to, feature them and give them some love and promote them and all that stuff. And so, whenever it's your pod raid that comes up, man, you'll see your listens jump up quite a bit. So
yeah, dude, that's awesome. And when I said that, I didn't mean to make it sound like, oh, the network is effective, because I'm fairly certain it is too. What I was mostly surprised
no, not at all,
is the way you framed your downloads, because dude, personally, I don't think I have maybe 10 downloads a week. Honestly, I don't really know. I look in Spreaker, I'm like, man, that seems about right based on my interaction on social media, which is effectively like half a dozen people and me ranting at people whose ball comes into my yard via the For You stream. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in my stream? Get out of here.
Which I enjoy immensely when you do that.
That's pretty funny. But I'm like, who are these fucks? Anyway, Kevin and I were talking about that. Yeah, get out of here. I didn't invite you in my yard. It's like, why are you commenting on my post? Why is your post in my stream?
I love it. Yep. I love it, man.
So the thing is with when you have a network, the network effect is pretty powerful when you're in such a small niche like podcasting, particularly audio podcasting, and having a network that actually works. It illustrating the point. Like, it doesn't take much if you all get along and get together on Twitter, for
That's it,
example.
man. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it gins the algorithms, but it has to have some kind of effect. And I only
Sure.
say that because nobody fucking tells us the algorithms. So we don't know.
Yeah,
All we could do is
you're right.
help each other and fuck the algorithms, whatever.
Exactly.
Just keep moving forward. So I think that's really what you're doing is obviously effective. That's how I found Kev and the crew earlier, and that's why I keep seeing you guys and hanging out with y'all and that sort of thing. So I think that's really cool. And
being a history type podcast, I mean, we hit a whole bunch of different stuff, but I guess we would be considered history. Kev's podcast, right? Stupid History Minute. I mean, you can't go anywhere without seeing it. So I was like, this fucking guy, before I met them.
Right.
And I was like, this fucking guy owns everything, And then I reached out, and when I got the interview for UNF, and he was like, yeah, I'm Kev from the Stupid History Minute. I'm like, oh, fuck, it's you.
Right.
I was like,
So
man, I've been
surreal.
competing with you for fucking years. And you kick my ass every week. I was like, oh, if you can't beat him, join him. It's a damn good guy to be with. So
Yeah, that's true. I mean, really, it's kind of like that anyway in life. If you want to go,
sure.
I don't know, make money, maybe go work at a mint. Literally go make money. If you want to hang out with
good point.
podcasters who are doing stuff, well, go find the ones that are doing stuff, not the ones that are on social media primarily. There were some people, especially right after COVID, that seemed to take their reasonably sized social media account, whether Instagram, Twitter, or whatnot, and tried to become podcasters, quote unquote. And I'm like, how the fuck you got all these social media followers, but your podcast sucks, or you haven't put out an episode in 6 months, or you don't even have an episode yet? And that would continue on and on. So I'm like, oh, some of these people are just like they're just like the NFT bros, like the Bitcoin people.
Yes,
They're just looking for the
yes.
next thing that they might not have to get a real job. And I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, you
Try
fucking
to milk that,
grifters.
and then they noticed, or they found out real quickly, that this actually takes a little bit of work.
Exactly.
To do.
And the work
And they're
is
like, fuck that.
What do you think the work is, dude? What part do you think most people miss, or like the unsuccessful ones when they bail out?
What do you think they miss about podcasting?
Yeah, what do you think they're lacking?
I think it's the patience. I think it's probably. I think a lot of people just come in and expect to hit it off and just get discovered, and like a lot of people. I don't know, man. Maybe it's they look at the numbers too much. Maybe it's the idea of oh my God, I'm only getting 10 downloads an episode. I'm speaking into a void, and then you compound that with. If you edit and you spend a lot of time on editing, that's a pain in the dick, man. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And
the work becomes the work, right? And then you might actually get into it and get kind of OCD about the editing. And then it's now, instead of your 45-minute podcast, it now takes 90 minutes to edit. So now you're in for 2.5 hours already.
Yeah, and that's where I've kind of gotten into, where I've picked this whole, like, I had no idea how to do any of this stuff when we started our show a couple of years ago. And completely learned on the job, and just did what I just figured it out along the way, right? And then slowly but surely, I've learned a little bit more about the editing process, and we've ended up like you were listening to the immigration episode. That's one of the first where I really had background music and some sound effects and things like that. And so I'm still learning my way around that, and it's fun, it's interesting, but it adds a shit ton more work. And but it's still fun to do. But when we do our normal show, it's just myself and my two co-hosts. All that is that we're just editing out flubs, or just making it a little bit sound a little bit smoother. And I've actually just discovered Auphonic. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Auphonic.
Sure, yeah.
But I just discovered them for the leveling, and that has worked really nicely for leveling,
perfect.
because I suck at leveling.
Do you guys
terrible.
record in the same room or remotely?
No, we're in different states. So I'm in North Carolina, and then my two co-hosts are in New York.
Nice.
So we get together through Discord. So I just record through Discord. One of my guys and myself will have Audacity going in the background, because Discord's recording is not always that great. So we'll have Audacity as a backup just in case. So actually, that's our main. So I'll just kind of. And it's nice because we will, myself and my buddy Joe, who's on the show, we do halves on editing. So I'll edit an episode, then he does the next one, and then I do one. So it gives us, a break off of editing. So I edit every other 2 weeks or so.
That's nice.
And so, Yeah, it's nice. And he just jumped on and was like, "Hey, you want me to help you?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude," because I was doing the first 2 years by myself. And it was,
Yeah, someone pick up a broom or a shovel or something.
oh, it's a lot, yeah. But as you go along, you just figure out a little bit, a little bit more stuff. And I got a lot of inspiration from one of my buddies that I met on podcasting, Jay Burke from the With Jay Burke show.
Yeah, he's got a really clean show. Yeah.
Oh my God! And I've watched him, his episode quality and his editing quality, everything has just continuously risen. It just goes up and up and up. And I was just talking to him last night. I'm like, bro, your last episode about the boys aren't all right with Fight Club. I was like, bro, you almost made me quit podcasting with that episode. I was like, you fucking dick. It's really good. So now with me, my competitive nature, I'm like, okay, all right, Jay, I see you.
All right.
You want to raise the bar? I'm gonna come on up. That's fine. That's all right. So, so it gets a little fun, but you're right though. Like, we normally do anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour, but it takes a good maybe 2.5 sometimes. Yeah, about 2.5 hours or so to really do a decent editing job. And I get, I'm a perfectionist. I don't want to put out shit.
Right.
And so
it's so boring, dude. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't mean to like take the work out of an editor's job, but when you edit your own stuff, your own sound, you already had that conversation.
Yes, and it's
And if I don't edit it right away, like remembering the key parts, like, oh yeah, I remember we talked about that, I want to keep that in. So I literally have to kill a whole half of an afternoon if I wanted to do it expeditiously. If I sit on that interview, the next day I'm like, oh, now I don't want to listen to it, even more. I want to listen to it even less. And then I just push it off, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And then at some point, I was telling Rena, the way I edit, I just put it on in the open or on my headset, and I will start playing a video game, Call of Duty, Ghost of Tsushima, something like that. And I'm listening as if I were listening to a Rogan show or just a regular podcast. At the moment I hear the tension in the conversation drop, like someone starts with I'm like, fuck that. Like, if it causes me to stop the video game, like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Why did you go there? That seems to be a good indicator for me. So it's both less boring because I'm playing a video game. I'm listening with my ears because it's only an audio podcast. And when I hear the balloon deflate or if everyone just goes nuts for a second, I call it talking ourselves into a cul-de-sac. Sometimes we're on point, and someone, usually me, will bring up a slightly related side point that will suck everybody into the cul-de-sac with me, and then everyone will forget what the general topic was.
Yep.
I'm like, fuck, I did it again. I talked so much.
It's part of the game, man, for sure.
It is.
Are you talking about Rena Friedman Watts?
Yes. Yeah.
She'll be on my show, I think, 2 weeks from now. I think she's coming on.
She's I call her a maven in the true sense of the word. She's really a good connector of people with like a full heart, much in the same way Keb is. They're just really giving of their time and their effort and their focus. So I appreciate people like that. And,
she's coming on the 2nd, I think. We're going to do the story of circumcisions.
Oh, no way. That's going to be great.
Yeah, whenever we have a guest, I'm just like, hey, man, tell them what the plot is or whatever. And and it's just like, what do you want to talk about? And she was like, I don't know, circumcisions. And I was like, fucking awesome. That's a great one,
dude.
So
especially given the topics.
Have a rabbi. She's gonna have a rabbi come on with her, and it was like, fucking, that's awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
And then I want to hear her dad's take on that conversation too.
Yes, absolutely.
That's so cool. What a gang, man. That's really cool. And it's funny too, because I used to, I don't know, on your podcasting journey, first you start and you're all alone and you just, whatever, I do it because I do it. I don't know. I was a musician. I'm like a drummer still and everything. So I have that in me that I just like to self-express.
Sure.
So to me, it's not like, oh my God, I got to talk on a mic. I'm the guy that like, yeah, fuck yeah, give me your mic. Give me everyone's mic. I mean, that's not the hard part. The hard part, I think I've seen this with others, and I think you've kind of alluded to it as well with your co-host, is that I think the people that don't succeed in podcasting are lacking curiosity. They're not curious. They just don't care about stuff that much. So when it comes to like, what's your topic about? Yeah, I don't know. Well, what are you curious about? Not much. Oh, well, fuck. Okay, yeah.
The apathy. Yeah, the apathy.
Yeah, if you're apathetic and you're not really into it, it kind of comes off. And then, well, not even if it comes off, if you ever even record anything. But I think that prevents a lot of people from moving forward because they might see ahead a couple more steps like, well, what's the point? I don't even care about this, and I'm not going to make money. I'm like, yeah, bingo, you're not going to make money. And if you don't care about it, yeah, exactly. Why do it? Go get into wood whittling or, soap carving or just pick a different hobby that's a little cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
And that was
go ahead.
that
Sorry.
was one of the reasons why we chose the name of our show with the story of is I was like, I want to do something where I can learn about things. I want to learn about things. I want to learn about weird things. I like weird shit. I like weird history. I like weird stories, paranormal stuff, whatever the case may be. And so but it was like, how do we not pigeonhole ourselves into just like one of those categories? And so when it was, I decided on the story of, I was like, well, I mean, that could be the story of anything, when I'm not going to pigeonhole myself, we can go anywhere we want with this. So if we get bored doing conspiracy theories or we get bored doing weird historical, we can just roll onto sports. We can go roll onto music. We can do anything we want. It keeps it open, keeps it fresh, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I think that's important for longevity. Right there,
Sure.
what you said.
That's what I was thinking.
For example,
down the line.
Yeah, because I started originally because I didn't hear any mental health podcasts that I related to. They were all very sterile, very clinical, all the shit I didn't like. Nobody was cursing. No one was telling it how it really felt and all that. Started that. Well, after a while, I realized that, what you focus on grows. And I was always focusing on mental health issues. And I was having guests that were mentally ill and the whole thing. I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. Fuck all this. I want to talk about current events or whatever. Well, then I'd get harassed by listeners like, hey, we hate it when you talk about politics. And I'm like, well, yeah, I understand because I don't like politics either. But I need some liberty to venture out from the format that I've created. So it took a while. I kept, strangely, the same RSS feed forever. Like I've always had this same feed. It's changed shows several times, even like take a hiatus, come back with a new logo and a new domain name and all that stuff.
Sure.
The handful of people that might have heard me 3 months ago, 6 months ago, all of a sudden get a little notification on their podcast app, and there it is again. So I think it's for longevity, it's important to make it flexible, make it easy, and make it something that you're curious about. But like you said, make it wide enough. So like Jay Burke's show, that's one avenue a lot of people take. I think it's probably the harder one, especially for me. I like a private life. You have to commit your whole self. You have to. That's you. That's your name. Anything you do, say, or think out on the airwaves is you, right?
Yep.
And then
100%.
Yeah, so that's hard. There's you said Jay Burke, and there's also Jay Franz as well with the music show. Those guys are bold. They get out there, but it's kind of like the music business analogy. I don't want to be necessarily known for me. I like weirdos. I liked Prince and Kiss and people that just made up characters.
Yeah.
But then how far does that go? How much work do you have to put into supporting the character? And that's kind of where I am now. I'm like, oh, fuck, I built up this whole character. I can't be me. Like every time I go online, I'm like, oh, at least I'm protected because everyone thinks it's that.
Yeah,
but I'm like, if I ever want to speak as me, I don't really have a voice as me. So I always go back and forth on that. How do you think about that? Have you ever thought, or when you first started your podcast, did you think just call it, the Danny Show?
You know what? No, I hadn't. And so, I guess maybe the reason being is that, honestly, I'm a teacher. So I'm a public school teacher. And so I did not want my show to have a name that, in all honesty, that my students could find.
Yeah.
That was like the main thing. And so whenever, when I'm on a guest or I'm a guest on the show, I always come on as Danny Smith. But when I'm on my show, I refer to myself as just Smith. And that's one of the beautiful things about having this name. Is it makes it really hard for people to find you. It's amazing. So you could type in Smith, and we all know, man, it's a billion names are going to come up. You can't find me.
Right.
And so it allows me to say that I am a teacher. I've never said where I work. And at the same time, it allows me to be honest in my opinions and my views. It allows me to curse as much as I want. And I don't necessarily have to have that nagging fear in the back of my head of and I don't even think it would be a horrible thing if my podcast ever came out and, administration found it or something. It's not a huge thing. I mean, I got a dirty mouth, whatever. But, the only controversial things that I talk about on there is that immigrants shouldn't be fucking, rounded up and thrown around like, ex-cons and shit like that, and they should maybe be treated like humans.
Oh boy, you're gonna fall on the wrong side of the fence in some parts of the country, though. You know what I mean?
Well, specifically in the south, the part of I'm in the South, man. So I'm in North Carolina.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
So yeah, dude,
You got
so
Texas. You got I'm in Oklahoma. You got Oklahoma values, the same thing as that. So I'm
Sure,
not
man,
from
yeah.
here, so it's kind of weird to me, but I feel you.
Yeah, and I'm originally from New York, so my views are a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I'm in Chump Country, man. So I mean, I'm in where I live, it's all red. It's ruby red.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
but that's one of the nice things is that I've been able, just having my name has actually given me some anonymity, which is kind of weird.
Yeah,
Kind of works
well,
the opposite, but it works.
And as you're talking about this, I'm starting to think, I'm like, it's not our fucking fault. It's not my fault I have to separate my life. I would be open with everything if everyone didn't have a problem with it. If my boss
Sure.
didn't have a problem with me having opinions. If my ex-wife and other old social circles didn't want to go after me because I thought this way or that way. So in many ways, it's kind of like George Costanza on fucking Seinfeld, with worlds colliding. You got to keep the world separated. But with the podcast thing, I just don't think any good can come of it from my employers knowing. That's all.
I agree.
It's not like super secret. Anybody can like dig around and find some connective tissue to an old podcast or a topic. That's not it. I just don't want someone to do a cursory check at not unemployment, like at an employment, what do you call it, HR office, and just say, oh yeah, he's fine, he's clean. I mean, my FBI background's clean. All the normal things are clean. I just don't want some idiot to start asking me questions about an opinion that I had 3 weeks ago that's now changed 5 times, because I really
100%.
changed my opinion a lot.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I mean, look, you're right. I think you said that the magic phrase is, I don't think there's any good. I mean, like I'm not going to get a promotion because I have a podcast.
Right.
I'm not going to get, accolades, or I'm not going to, nothing positive is going to come my way because of podcasts,
Yeah, not in
Bad
that
shit
sense.
could happen.
Right.
And for yeah, I mean, I can certainly opinions about me, which, I mean, look, you can say how much you don't care about opinions, but when it's opinions of people that are above you in administration or whatever the case may be, who are the gatekeepers of moving up within your selected field, their opinion matters, right? And so,
It's so funny. People who say that they don't care about other people's opinions are so full of shit. They care the most.
Absolutely, dude.
They
'Cause
care
I'm not
the
going to lie
most.
to you. I do. Like
Of course we do. We have to. We have to survive in a society. Of course we care what
Yes.
other people think of us. To
100%.
pretend we don't it might be asocial, but it's borderline antisocial to really not care what other people think. And I'm pretty sure almost everybody does. The problem is that they don't know how to respond when other people reject them.
Yes.
So they pretend they don't care, but fucking A, they care, just like you do, I do. It's important what other people think, because
Yes.
there's a social hierarchy out there that we have to exist in.
And if we truly, and I think you just hit the nail on the head, if we truly didn't care what other people think, that we would, I mean, someone who literally, like maybe there is somebody, right? Probably a sociopath that literally doesn't care, right? A narcissist that what other people think is probably an asshole, is probably a pretty big asshole, because if you don't give a shit what other people think, then you don't care how you treat them, right? You don't care if you
that's right.
cut them off or whatnot, like people. But to me, I have my own character defects, and I go a little too extreme sometimes, and I could go a little too much on what people think, and yeah, I got to get out of my head a little bit that way as well. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, anybody who says, I don't care what anybody thinks, they're full of shit. You're full of shit.
Yeah.
And, and it's healthy. It's healthy to have a perspective on how you come off and how you treat people and how other people think of you. If they think of you as a very nice and generous person, well, that means you're doing the right thing. You're treating other people right.
And it makes life that much less work. If people assume that if you start neutral and they default to you being a good person, every situation starts much better. If they default that you're an asshole because of X, Y, Z, well, they got a hill to climb.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, dude. Let's let's talk back more about some podcasting gossip stuff.
Let's go.
Most particularly podcasting charts. Now, I don't want to pick on any one company particularly, although it did. Well, no, because it started with, and I'll say Good Pods, because we all met through Good Pods. But it turns out they're not the problem. They participate in something that is a problem.
Yes.
But they aren't the problem. And I'll name them because the others are pretty self-evident. But I named them because there is hope that they might be able to crack the nut and actually solve part of it and help podcasters. I don't have high hopes. Anyway, so I started looking in like, hey, why are we all on the top of Good Pods charts? Like, why is the show up here? Because, back to I don't care what people think. Well, I fucking care what people think. And more importantly, I care how I'm rating compared to others. I don't care how I'm compared to myself. What's that? You know what I mean? So what? But I care like to my peers. How do I appear on a chart relative to my peers? Like when you get a grade in school and the teacher hands out, oh, Bobby got an A- and Cindy got a D or whatever. You're ranking. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And then once you get your grade, you're like, oh, here's where I fit. You're either comfortable, you can let it slide, or you could work harder to do better.
Exactly. It's that innate competitive nature, right?
And I think so. It gives you purpose. It gives your activities something. It gives you a way to measure your activities. It's kind of like your fucking step tracker on a watch or something. Like why are you tracking those? Do you feel good? Yeah, but I want to track my steps. Well, of course. And we want to track our relative position. I don't care about the actual download numbers I have. I want to know what the world sees as a comparative analysis from me to another podcast. That's the only thing that matters. I don't care if I have one and he has two. He's 100% more than I have now. Right? That's how I see things. So whatever it is, I don't even need to see the actual numbers. I would just like to see the relative comparison, right? And Good Pods is really good for that. But then I'm like, well, how the fuck are all these national shows below us? Because like I said, I go into Spreaker and I'm looking at Spreaker. I'm like, there's no way me and my 7 downloads is topping Jon Stewart's show, for example.
Yeah, dude, like I'm beating NPR and I'm like, what?
Right.
How am I like in second place and NPR's in 18th? Like, what is happening here?
I was giving Curvin from This Week Explained a hard time last week because I'm like, dude, you sunk below NPR. What's going on? No, just playing. But back to that whole thing, like what's the fucking relevance? And then you go to Apple, their charts are different, Spotify's charts are different, and when you dig into the weeds, all of their algorithms are just very specific to their own platform, right?
Sure.
So what's the point? There is no relativeness. Are you high on Apple charts? Cool. What's that mean? You can get paid? Are you high on Spotify charts? Are you getting paid? I know people high on Good Pods charts aren't getting paid from Good Pods. They might be getting paid from sponsors or finding other ways to, exploit that notoriety. But so what's the point of these charts if they have no relevance to each other? Have you ever looked into that?
No, not particularly. And you know what? I'll tell you why. And the reason being is I can't find myself on any Spotify charts. I can't find myself on any Apple charts, but I'm consistently number 2 in history for Good Pods. And I'm kind of just like, I'll take it.
Dude, that is what,
fine.
That's what led to my adventure.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, where's the gap from Good Pods to Apple? Where's the gap from Good Pods to Spotify? Why is that gap there? Who's hiding it? And why do all of these platforms, I get it why they don't want to share the entire recipe. Colonel Sanders doesn't want to give away all of the ingredients for his fried chicken. Sure.
But all of those podcasts you find on Good Pod are on Spotify. And so, like, what you're right. Like, how? Like,
right.
How does that?
Like you, I have a podcast. Well, this one, right? It ranks high on Good Pods.
Yep.
A couple different categories. And I fucked around, too, because I've taken mine off of some categories to see if others would float up, and they do. Yeah. Because I'm like, well, it's not really fair to call this show a politics show. It's kind of fucked up because I'm like, I mention politics once in a while, but I hope people don't tune in for politics because I hate them. The politics, not the people. So so I changed that to society and culture, for example. And honestly, I don't even know if news is right. I just don't know what the fuck to put. I just wanted to put it on a whatever category, like you, that I could just be broad.
Sure.
All right. Well,
the fluid type of that's like a Jay Burke show. Same thing. Like his is in there for history, but I would say it's definitely more society and culture. But you know what I mean? Like he covers enough of it to where it'll fit. It'll work.
Yeah. And then I would bet I haven't checked, but I would bet that none of our shows, meaning yours, mine, the people we talked about, Unfiltered Studios people, I haven't checked, but I would guess that even though all of ours are very high up in the Good Pods charts, I bet none of us are in the top 100 on any of the other platforms.
Guaranteed.
Is that
guaranteed?
You think
so?
Money
on that. Oh, guaranteed.
And then that begs the question: why? What the fuck is going on? And what is the value of a chart if only to give us false hope, which gets me back
Yeah.
to thinking, well, why do I need the false hope then? Why don't I just focus all my time on creating more podcasts? Just record audio and upload. Record audio, upload. Don't even go on Twitter. Don't even go on Good Pods. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, what is the point? I need a place to go find people to talk to and have interviews with. But beyond that, I'm like, what good is a chart?
Well, I think it's perspective though too. Like when I look at, like, I have zero glimmer of hope of being on a Spotify or an Apple chart. If I ever charted on there, I'd lose my shit. I'd be so happy. But I think the fact that Good Pods kind of, to an extent, kind of propels us little guys, and we can see our names not only on a list but at the top of a list. Like, I don't even know if it's like a false sense of hope for me. It's just like, fuck yeah, okay, cool. Like, like even if this algorithm doesn't make any sense, there's a part of me that's like, I don't really give a shit. Like, I'll take it. Like,
Okay,
it's cool.
wait. So you deal with kids, and you probably had a therapist and stuff before like that. So that part, I've felt that before. The part where like, all right, well, I'm on top of this chart. Fucking cool, because it does make
Yes.
you feel good. But then I'll think, well, this chart isn't shit in the big stage.
Oh,
So
absolutely
I'm a
not.
big fish in a small pond, and I'm like,
100%.
well, that kind of sucks. But I'm like, nah, it's pretty cool. But so I
Yeah,
go back and forth on that. It's pretty cool, and then it sucks. So I feel kind of, I don't know, definitely mixed feelings about that.
I agree with you, but I was just having this discussion with my wife the other day. So she likes podcasts as well. Not mine. She doesn't listen to mine at all. I don't think she's ever listened to mine.
That's actually good. I would prefer
Yeah.
that my closest circles don't. It's the world's
Yeah.
colliding problem.
Yeah, I agree. And but she likes Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, and it's a good show, and I don't mind it. I really don't. He's got great vernacular. I like the way that he's able to articulate things, and I like it. But there's another part of me that gets really resentful because there's the you're a fucking star.
You're
right?
already famous.
You're already famous. Can't you let somebody else have something? Like this podcasting, it's made for the little guy. It's made for the non-famous people to have something. And then all the rich folks and all the celebrities come out and they just, people that either are legitimate celebrities or the ones that we award with the label of celebrity, right? I'm not going to say any names, but Haktua, I'm looking at you.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, and then, like these people come out and then their shows, just because of the name alone, is going to give them 100,000 downloads an episode. And it's like, fuck, like, could just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And I know it must sound like this, I don't know, I guess maybe it sounds like an immature argument, but it's like, dude, come on, man. Like, can't normal people have something, right? Can't we have some sort of platform without, and again, it's like with Dax Shepard, again, I like the show. I got no issue with him at all. But, when you're like practically best friends with Robert Downey Jr. and he comes on your show, I struggle to get guests. It's hard. Nobody pays attention to an indie podcaster when you go out to a celebrity and you're like, I'd love to have you on my podcast. No one ever responds, and so it's kind of like, so with saying that, or with that having been said, when I look at a Good Pods and I see my number up there, I'm like, all right, at least, you know what I mean? In this little tiny little corner of nothing that probably means shit, I'm on a chart, and it's like, all right, I'll take it, because I know I'm not going to beat the Armchair Expert. I'm not going to beat Rogan. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not even going to come fucking close. So it's kind of like, and then I got to reevaluate my intent as well. Like, did I do,
key. Yeah, exactly.
like, did I start getting into podcasting because I wanted to be famous, or, and I'll be honest here, it really is, I just needed a creative outlet. I just needed to.
Yeah, that's what I say to
needed to
myself too.
create
It's like,
something.
well, dummy, you said you just needed to express yourself. So why
Yeah.
are you worried about any kind of position?
But we all get caught up in the numbers. Like, I get caught up in the numbers. Absolutely, I get caught up in numbers. And I'm looking, I'm like, all right, how many numbers do we, this latest episode, how many numbers did we get in the first 7 days? Because
So
we have
you actually look
over
at your
X
download
amount.
numbers?
Oh yeah, I do. Absolutely.
Really?
Every day. Every day, multiple times a day.
Do you feel comfortable sharing? You don't have to at all, because I literally think mine are like 7 to 10 a day. Something really dumb. Like, that's why I'm
That's
always
not bad,
puzzled.
though. Like
yeah.
so I look at it as weekly. So
okay.
the numbers that I have come up with is within the first, this is where I found on podcast research sites, and I don't know how fucking credible or reliable they are, but
Sure.
I've seen this number on multiple sites. I'll put it that way. Within the first 7 days of an episode, if you now there were what 500 million podcasts around the world, something like that, or 5 million. I think there are 5 million podcasts around the world, right? Something along that line. If your episode can get 30 downloads within 7 days of publishing, you're within the top 50% of podcasts in the world. It's not crazy number. So
I don't know, dude. At some point, it sounds like we're just starting to massage numbers to make us feel better.
you're right, and I'll give you that as well. That's fine. But that's the metric I usually go on.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if I can hit 30 downloads or 30 listens on an episode within the first week, then whatever it is, it'll massage that little piece and make me feel a little better, and I'll go, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah. And actually,
and
that's a good number, right? Because I think of it the other way from when I used to be in shitty punk rock bands. If I could get 30 people to show up to a show, oh my God,
Sure.
that was success. I was
Hell
making
yeah,
it.
man.
I was on my way. Normally, I would get like the 3 guys that came in the van with us and maybe a couple of their girlfriends. So our whole band would bring in maybe 10 people once a
Sure.
month. So yeah, from that comparison, those kind of numbers are still fine. So I don't want to diminish like the actual number because every one of those numbers represents an actual person, a human listening, which is
Yeah.
fucking fantastic. I never
And
hear
that's-
from them, but I think it's cool that they're probably listening.
No, and I don't. I always ask them like, "Hey, reach out on Twitter or what?" Nothing.
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
Yeah,
But I
my-
will.
Go ahead, say.
Well, I was gonna say I was just talking to my guys. We just recorded the other night, and I think we had released our last episode. I want to say we released it on Monday, right? And what's today?
Wednesday.
Today's what? Thursday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So we hit 30 yesterday on our latest episode, which I mean, it took what? I think it took like 2 days to get 30 listens, and that's like, all right, I'll take that. Like that's
Yeah.
great.
Now that's
And-
really
but-
forthcoming because I think a lot of people are scared to share their downloads. You know what I mean?
And
Because they think
it
they're so
is.
small. Well, they are small. All of ours are small. That's
Of
why
course.
we're wondering, right? We're wondering out loud. How are we so high on some charts and purely invisible on others?
Yeah, but you know what I was telling us? But my first episode that we dropped in 2022, January of 2022 was our first episode. So we've been around with just over 3 years, and our first episode, it took us, God, like weeks to maybe over a month to get to 30 listens, and just so even everything else aside, just looking at okay, where did we start, and what did our listens look like when we first started, to a couple years down the road. Have we grown? Have we gotten better? And I think the answer to that is yes. And so that's all I can ask for. Like
That's true.
and like that, it makes me like, okay, look, man, 30 downloads in 3 days or 2 days, whatever. Rogan does that in 30 seconds. All right, cool. But I'm not Rogan, and I'm not on that platform, and I never will be, and that's cool, and I've accepted it, and I wouldn't. Not even that I had to accept it. I never did accept that. You know what I mean? Like that was never.
I knew I wasn't famous when I first started podcasting.
Exactly.
It's like I knew what this was all about. That's why I just bought I bought a mic I like to look at because I figured we're going to be friends for many, many years here.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
just keep going. So you brought up something, and I always bring it back to music business analogies. But
Sure.
the idea that you guys keep getting together, the same crew of people, is much like a band of musicians who don't know how to play in the beginning. And over time, you build rapport with each other.
Sure.
You know how to pitch ideas back and forth, or let's call it jam in real time. Like when we were chatting on Twitter,
Yeah.
like when we're going to get together, are we going to schedule it or whatever to have a jam session? That's kind of how I think of conversation. And I think having a podcast and keep going makes you good at conversation.
Yeah.
Not even good at grammar. Like, clearly, listen to me talk. But I mean, it makes you, I'm a curious person. I really do want to know about your opinion and that sort of thing. And you sound the same. And I bet your co hosts do as well. So that's something to be said because that translates into real world skills when you're out in public and you engage people, in person.
Yeah, and with my job, I'm a high school teacher, so you can look at it, and I've done community theater. I did community theater for I don't know 7 or 8 years, so I'm not I'm familiar with stage. I'm familiar with being on the stage like yourself, when you're playing shows, and so you kind of like, I don't know, to an extent you kind of tap into that, right? You tap into there's this kind of I don't know. I always just kind of describe it as there's a switch that flips, right? So I'm tired of shit in the morning. I'm waiting, my classroom, my kids are coming in. I'm dapping them up, giving them fist bumps.
Yeah.
And like the bell will ring and I look at my, the teacher's next to me and I'm like, all right, let's go do this. And I take a step into my classroom and it's like, whoa, let's go.
Showtime. Yeah.
And
Right.
it's showtime. Yeah. And the same could be said to going on to the podcast as well. There's this kind of switch that flips. And there's also a lot of active listening. And, it's funny. I'm in the last episode we just did. And to go back to your point real quick, actually, we're in year number 3, and I've had 5 different co-hosts.
Oh, yeah?
And yes.
Sounds like a band.
Yes, exactly. But so here's the thing. When I put the show together, it's actually what I always imagined. I always imagined a revolving door of co-hosts. And I originally wanted to get like 6 or 7 co-hosts, and just who could ever make it that weekend to record would be welcome to come, because we're all dads and we're all adults and we got, you know what I'm saying? So
Dude, that's exactly what I've been telling people I wanted to do forever. Like, I just want, if 1 or 2 of us could always make it, cool. I will always be here. And if you can, cool. And if the 3 or 4 of you, whoever comes in, that's the chemistry for that show.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I had imagined. And so we did a couple of episodes, or I think we did the first season with myself, my buddy Bill, and my buddy Joe. And then I brought on my buddy Mark, and then Mark stepped off, and then Joe and Bill kind of took hiatuses, and then I brought in my other 2 friends, Joe and Mike, and then they've been on actually for like the last 2 years. And they really kind of, I was just talking to Jay Burke yesterday, and he was like, I really think that Mike and Joe are sounding really comfortable, a lot more comfortable. And he's like, I think you guys are hitting your stride. Because when it comes to podcasting, it takes a while to hit your stride. And it takes a while to figure out who you are.
To find your sound, let's call it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
You got to settle in, stop reaching for weird ideas, come up with the flow and the format. Even my format, I change it all the time. I don't know what I want to do. That is the format. Sure. I'm doing what I feel like. Is there a guest? Maybe. Like today. That's why when you reached out, it's hard to get guests, dude. I'm like, well, we better jump on this opportunity now because I don't want to have to deal with it in a couple days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
It's like, like I tell all new teachers too, like, look, man, the most important thing you're going to figure out in the first 2 years of teaching is who you are as a teacher. That's number 1, and once you figure out who you are as a teacher, you, by the very definition of that, will come through as much more, as much more natural and what's the word, truthful really to your kids. You could be more authentic. You're going to be more authentic to your students, and they can tell really quickly if you're not authentic or if you're unsure. But every teacher is the first couple of years. So once you figure out, you find your stride, you find your voice, you find out who you are as an educator, then, you start to really be able to hone your craft and figure out how to do what it is that you're doing. And even if you want to stay in it or not, it's a tough business. But, the one thing with my show that we had, the leg up on is all of my co-hosts. So all 5 of my co-hosts that I've had, between all of us, I have known them all for, at the very least amount of time, 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And so,
childhood buds.
Yes. So we're all friends together for 25 years, and some of us are friends together, friends with each other for 33, 34 years. And so, so I've reached back to my childhood friends who I know when we put the show together, it's just going to be like us bullshitting like we would if I was sitting at their house. But I don't live in New York anymore. So it's also a way for me to catch up with my buddies and to keep in touch with them as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I do with my buddy Gary. He's in California still. We just rant and chat and do our thing. Nice. we don't for several weeks while we kind of go off on our own adventures and bring back new stories. Because if you talk if it was just he and I every week, it would get...
You're going to run out of shit
Well, we'd be like an old married couple. Like, you fucking talked about that last week. What the fuck? This is stupid. You didn't even show up on time and we're talking about the same old boring bullshit. You would get...
how's the weather?
Yeah, it would get...
My arthritis is killing me. Yeah, exactly.
But even though, regardless, having those... like your childhood friends and whatnot support you, even by showing up. Like just showing up and being on the mic helps you, like when you go to edit. It's like, well, do we have a good conversation? Are we able to speak well? Do I talk over him? Does he talk over me? All those little things help the next time you have an actual guest or, do any kind of other work like that. So podcasting is really cool. I always think of it more as a new channel. Like sometimes people used to have newsletters or they used to have an email news list or a blog.
Make a zine.
Yeah, zine, exactly. Or, bands made flyers. And I think podcast is just a new medium. So I don't really hate on celebrities coming into the space who do well, because most of them actually putting on good podcasts. Like the same with the guy from Smartless. It sounds like the Dax Shepard guy. They're really good too, and it sucks because I hate it when that happens. I'm like, and the fucking show is good too. Damn it.
And that's what it is with Dax Shepard. It's like, fuck, you know what I mean? Because I like listening to him because he's good and he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think it's important, though, that they, as storytellers or creatives, why not have a podcast in that aspect? But, man, why do, it's just like music in this sense. Why do the fucking bottom dwellers like us have to fucking compete against the top ones like that? Well, it didn't. Okay, for example, when a top band would come tour, and we're not talking the Coliseum level, we're talking the top club band, but that would be Poison or Guns N' Roses back in the day, right? They were still touring clubs.
Poison was my band when I was younger. Man.
Yeah, and they would bring in
love those guys.
Opening acts. Almost sometimes they would carry a support act with them on the road, like the record label would make them take these other guys too. But oftentimes the 2 or 3 opening bands were local bands.
Yeah.
And they would have a chance to be seen on the stage from the same audience that came to see the headliner. That's what we don't have in podcasting. There is no opportunity for us to be seen at the same moment on the same stage as the headliner.
Really
and I know Good Pods tries to put us in the charts together, but there's no clarity. There's no explanation as to why we're there together. So there's no explanation as to why we're being seen with these headliners, because the headliners don't match our category, for example.
Yeah, so and you're right. And it's hard because, like, us at UNF Pod, it's kind of like a running joke that, like, we all know that charting at Good Pods is not hard. You know what I mean? It's not a hard thing to do, but we'll post it. Yeah.
I think it takes repetition, though, right? Because that's something we all have in common. We've all been doing it for years, like literally 2-3 years plus.
Yep.
That might have something to do with it.
Yeah, and it's you know what I mean? It's kind of like we all know, like, look, we ain't charting on Spotify, we're not charting on Apple, but hey, look, whatever, man. So I'm gonna celebrate it, and it's fine. But we all guess, and we're like, I think it's just a couple of listens that get you up there, but none of us really know. Like, we don't know, like exactly what you said, like the algorithm is the gatekeeper now, and that was kind of what I was talking about the other day. I look at this whole thing when it comes to, like, the way that you were describing it is, we're on this hamster wheel, which I agree with 100%. But it's fine. I look at it such in a Marxian sort of manner where, like, and it's kind of what I mentioned when we were texting back and forth is, when in the podcasting world, it's kind of like the podcasters have finally seized the means of production, right?
Yeah.
But now, right, it's the factory owner is not Good Pods, but it's the algorithm, right? That's, it's like the goalposts have changed. So we've got the means of production. That's great and all, but it's that 1% is the ones that are making money off of it, right? And the rest of us get that, like you said, that little hope, that little glimmer of hope that, ooh, maybe you'll chart, maybe somebody, the right person will hear your show. But now this, the rise of the algorithmic control has taken over. We've got this newfound independence, which is fantastic. Our success is no longer determined really by, just the quality of production alone, right? But it is now the recognition that is dictated by an algorithm, right?
Yeah.
And whether if you're blessed enough to find yourself in one of those algorithms that's going to put your show on other people's pages and force them to see it, right?
Well, it's funny, yeah, because Rena and I were talking about this the other day, because this is causing people to create descriptions and titles for SEO, for the search engines, for the algorithms, instead of being authentic. So 2 years from now, all the garbage is going to be inauthentic and designed just to be found by the algorithms. And I don't know what's going to happen then. It's just everything's going to be generic.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it goes back to what you're saying. It's the gamification of it, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's exactly what it is. And so my wife and I, we were just watching. We're in like episode 3 of a new documentary, and I was listening to what your last episode. I want to see, was it Sly Still Lives?
Oh, Sly Stone, yeah.
Yeah. I saw that came up on my Hulu, and I was like, oh my god, I love Sly and the Family Stone.
So good,
And,
dude. So
and
good.
Gudetama is amazing. I fucking love that show. When you brought that up, I was like, oh my god, I love Gudetama. We
Yeah,
watched like every episode when it came out with my son.
I had no idea about that show. My kids
It's
are, in their early 20s, so they
yeah,
weren't looking for no Gudetama, and I
it's
found it
just
and I
such a
showed it to them.
funny
And I'm
little
like,
show.
dude, look at this. This is great. It's existential.
It's yes, it is. It's existential and it's an egg. It's
So
beautiful.
crazy.
Oh man, but yeah, like we were watching this new one called an update on my family, and I'm not sure if you've heard of it or not. It's
I've seen
on.
the
I want
card.
to say
Yeah.
it's yeah. So it's about YouTubers that vlog their family life. And so, long story short, it's a crazy story, and I know
Sounds like it.
everybody says, oh, it's a documentary and it's crazy, but it's a crazy story. It's like they adopt this child from China. And I'm not going to give anything away. I don't want to ruin it, but some crazy shit goes down. But it talks about them and just YouTube in general of how do you get your show noticed? How do you get into the algorithm? And it
Yeah.
is by posting the names of your shows being full of danger, full of negativity,
Sensationalism. Yeah.
like yes, sensationalizing the name of things is what is people are going to they're going to be drawn to. And so these family vloggers are kind of like we're stuck in a weird kind of position because it's about our family, but we're going to get left behind in the algorithm if we don't sensationalize the name of what the name of our episode. And then on top of that, like it's going to push people to fabricate things, right? That's going to be inauthentic, and then what's the point, right? Like that, and so it's just this weird cycle
Yeah.
of trying to keep up with this, with the new gatekeeper being the algorithm.
Yeah. It's
And
sick.
yeah, and it's sick. It is. And so but I guess when it comes to us, really, we can get caught up and we can go crazy on it, right? If we choose to, and I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying before is, just, I got to remember to go back to my intent. Like, what was the purpose? What am I doing this for? Like,
Right. Right.
I don't monetize at all.
No,
I
it's
don't even,
easier. I think that's the key to happiness in podcasting.
yeah.
Don't even,
And I
don't even try.
honestly, I think I would have made like $5 if I had,
And was that
you know?
$5 worth all the aggravation you've caused the potential
Exactly.
listeners having to fast forward through the dumb ads? Probably
Yes,
not.
exactly. You know what I mean? Like we did some ads for Spartacus Coffee, which I was glad to do, and I don't think like I set it up, and I literally I don't think anybody used my show whatever that is the special code my show code. I don't think anybody did. So it was kind of like, but I remember my reasoning was I was talking to my co-host and I was like, well, it makes it sound more legit.
Yeah, no, there's social proof involved for sure. I work in SEO for my day job, like for a
Good. Okay. Okay.
billion-dollar company. That's why I know what I know about the algorithms because at
That
work
explains a lot.
we need the engagement. However,
Sure.
there are other companies in our field that play the algorithms hardcore. They do the sensationalism. They do the TikToks. They do this. And we're like, nope, we're more corporate. We're more traditional. We don't want
Sure.
that bullshit. So we're always trying to figure out like, how do we keep it real? How do we be genuine? And it's hard because if you're forcing SEO keywords into your description, that's not genuine. You're manipulating.
Right.
And I think AI has got that figured out. So maybe it'll change in the future. Hey, before we wrap, let's do some research for Good Pods. Because I was chatting with them the other day, and I
saw
don't really have an answer to some of their questions. The gist of the conversation, and I don't really know who it is because it's through Twitter. It's just the person that
Sure.
answers the DM. But they're a small company, so it could be anyone from the leader of the company to the tech guy or whatever gal. So we were going back and forth, and I kept trying to reiterate, dude, the charts is why we're here. I don't really listen
Yes.
to many podcasts through there because it doesn't have CarPlay. It's just not
doesn't have-
available
and I've talked to them
everywhere
about
I
that.
go. And
Yeah.
I don't want to pick
Yes.
on just CarPlay, but it's just simply not available everywhere I listen to podcasts. So I default to my Apple Podcast app.
Sure.
I'm not a Spotify person, whatever. So that's fine. But I'm like, so your killer app is the charts. Fucking focus on the charts. Make your app just charts and be more explanatory, explain it better, be more transparent, however you want to say it. But I would, and in fact, I said if you could do the charts and get them to work right and be a little more transparent, show us how people are moving, maybe like the old Billboard charts or Variety or radio and stuff like that. There used to be all kinds of magazines that people in the industry and music would pay $1,200 a year for a subscription for, 2 magazines or something.
Yeah.
But it had the charts. That's the important part, the relativeness. So if they could explain the relativeness and maybe even pull data from Apple or Spotify and their own charts and have a 3-way chart that says, here's Deviant Lounge on Good Pods, here's on Spotify, here's on Apple, or whatever. Anyway, what I'm saying is make the charts the whole focus. Don't worry about listening. Obviously, it's already built in, so you don't have to worry about it. And you want to sample a podcast that you're sharing, for example, so that makes sense. But I'm like, just put the fucking charts front and center and make them work all the time. And so I said, I would fucking pay like $42 a year for an app that did that killer. And they're like, well, what else would you like it to do? And I'm like, well, here's where we're going off track. I just want what it already does to fucking work. I don't want it to do anything
every new
else.
update that everything is supposed.
Right.
We get a new update every month.
How do you feel that? How would you answer that question? Like, is there any situation where Good Pods could provide something that you would pay for? Because I worry about them. They've been trying for a long time, but they're not monetizing. So it's a passion project, clearly, and I don't want to shit on that part at all. But, I mean, come on. Like, well, yeah, fucking make the charts work. Put them front and center. I think their homepage is ass. When you go to their homepage on the website, what is that? It's just faded, it's just rack of album art. I think their Discover page should be the homepage. You should just drop right in. There's some charts. There's the top. And my other suggestion is keep that indie fucking switch, the little toggle switch. Keep that everywhere. Everywhere there's a list of some shit. Keep that switch there and make sure it's set to indie. I love that
switch.
Not Cindy, set it to indie by default.
Yes, I agree. Because if it is the whole point, right? They're and again, don't get me wrong. I most of my charts, the only chart that I look at is Good Pods, but I'll get to that in just a second. But yes, you're right. I think and their big thing is they're for indie podcasters. So keep that toggle on. I agree 100%.
Yeah, and put it everywhere. If you got
everything
top charts or a top podcast of the week on the right column over there, make that indie. Like, 'cause if I'm there and it says top podcast of the week and I got the New York Times fucking the daily, I'm like, that's not indie. Instantly, it's lost credibility and I'm leaving.
Yep, I agree.
So I just go there to basically like your guys' shows. I give thumbs up to people in the network that I know and like.
Yep,
because I try to do that early in the morning because if anybody else comes after me, it looks like I recommended it to them. And I'm like, well, this is stupid. Points. Yeah, I got all loot or sway. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, which I'm still not really all up on that. I mean, I got, okay, that's cool. That was interesting, like whatever that means.
I never wanted sway, part of it. I mean, I never asked for sway. I didn't want clout. Either. I didn't want sway.
Nope. I got the little badge that they give, like, okay.
Yeah, I got some. I almost got 200 now. I'm up to 195 sway. I'm like, well, what does it mean? Where am I in the charts compared to Apple and Spotify? Just show me some relative data.
Yeah.
So
I noticed though that when you had that, I read that conversation between you and Good Pods, right? And so I did notice though right afterwards. Did you notice the charts went away? Like for like
they're
2 or 3
always
days?
breaking. Yeah, I'm on
but
their
they
ass,
were gone.
dude.
Like you couldn't even access them anymore.
They disappear. I'll show you the thread one day if you want to see it in my DMs.
Okay.
I fucking remind them every time. I send the emoji with eyes and no mouth at all, and I'm like, they're broke again.
They're broke. And they came back. They're back as of like last night. But I was like, what the fuck? I was just talking about this.
Yeah, I got a screenshot. And they said, oh, here. And they pointed to, your show's number one. And And I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I like to go look at the charts. I go, yeah, that's
so let me see it.
persnickety little bug. And I'm like, well, fucking fix it. Like, that's the most important part of your app. Quit breaking it. Quit adding things nobody asked for, like sway, and just make your fucking charts work. But no, in all seriousness, if there's anything that you could fix about Good Pods or that you would pay for, is there a feature that you would pay for that they have or don't have? And am I on track with the charts thing? Don't you think this shouldn't just be called Good Charts?
I agree. I like the idea that it is an indie podcaster platform. I like that idea. All right, so that's cool. I like the fact that they build it around that. But when and I think you kind of touched upon this too, when you click the Discover button, right, then I don't think mainstream, New York Times podcast should come up. If you're clicking the Discover button and you are all about indie, then that should be the discoveries that you're making is indie podcasts.
Right.
And not like NPR. and not, Smartless.
I could
which,
search
again,
for that, right? There's already
I
a
know-
search function.
We know who they are, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go to Spotify and those are going to come up. But if this is the Indie Guys podcast, then when I hit the discover button, don't give me the big ones, the big boys. Like that's not indie, right?
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything I would pay for. I don't pay for anything. I'm cheap. I like everything.
It goes
for
back
free.
to that longevity thing. If you want to be able to do
but
something a long time, make it as cheap as possible. Reduce those recurring
exactly.
costs.
But honestly, I think if you could get a legitimate, like you brought up before, comparison between here you are on Good Pods, here you are on Spotify, and do the work for you. Because again, I don't even know how I would even I don't know if I could find myself on Spotify as far as charts go, right?
You can't. I tried last night.
I can't.
Unless you're in the top 100. I mean, basically, you have to scroll the top 100. If you're not there, sorry, buddy.
If they could find me a legitimate placing and then compare it, I would pay for that. Sure. Even if it's, 500,000, whatever. I don't care. Like I can, it gives me something, an intrinsic motivation. Okay, I want to be number 5,272,000. Let me get up, you know what I mean? And let me get up one.
Yep.
That I would pay for.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
If you had a feature that did the work for me, and showed me where I chart on all three in comparison, and again, like you had said, no one wants to give away their algorithm. I get it, but be a little bit more transparent on. Give me we base our movement on 3 categories, right? And these are the 3 categories. You're not being specific on what it means, but these are what our metrics that we use to determine who's at the top. Like that would be nice, just to know. How am I at number 2, like at the history of this week? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
That's great, but I gotta get there, and it's me and your town. We keep fighting back and forth. Is it 1 download? Is it
Right.
1 thumbs up? Like, what is it? Like, who's getting, you know what I mean? Like, I would just, curiosity, I'd like to know.
See, there we are. Our curiosity is solving problems. There is one cat on Twitter. He's a big podcaster guy in the industry. His name's Daniel Lewis. And I think he is working on something that might speak to what we're talking about. It's not a plug. I just remember it the other day, but he kind of went MAGA on us during the COVID thing. So I'm like, I kind of got a little distaste, but he's smart and he's kind and whatever. It's fine. So maybe I'll reach out to him and see if Podgagement, I think his thing is called Podgagement.
Okay.
And he may have had the same concern long time ago, years ago, and started to figure out like, maybe I could build an app that pulls in all these data sources from my own API and charge for that. But again, now we got somebody charging for stuff that we should just know inherently. But anyway, maybe that might provide some insight as to why it's so hard to get the data from the various platforms, or why it's maybe just so expensive. It could be that a very expensive API, and which is why he has to charge for it.
Could be legal issues,
Yeah.
It depends. Yeah. Everything's.
But we want to know, podcasters want to know where we are in comparison to others. So I appreciate your insight on the Good Pods thing. Hopefully they're listening to this and take some to heart.
Sure.
Let's talk about how people can find you, the best ways that you like to be found.
Sure. Yeah, you guys can find us on any major podcasting platform, The Story Of. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, obviously. And we're on Twitter, because I do not call it X. And we are on Blue Sky as well. So Twitter is we are podcast. We are at Podcast Story Of, and then I think Blue Sky we are at Story Of Podcast. I think something like that. I'll find you. I'll email you or something.
Yeah, give me all your links, and like they say, I'll put them down in the notes below. So if you're driving right now, listening to this, wait until you pull over, look at the description, and you can click around. So that's pretty bitchy, man. This is such a very casual flow, and I appreciate you reaching out. So you're always welcome on the show, and I love what you're doing. It sounds very similar. So if you're listening to this show now, Deviant Lounge, you should check out Story Of, because Danny does things similar to what I've been experimenting with. Like, just come up with the story, and one way I argue with AI back and forth until I get the gist of my story right. I'm like, well, what is the gist? What point am I really trying to make here? And I'll dig deeper until I have something like, oh yeah, that's actually a really good point. Yeah, let's talk about that a little more. And the music I started once I changed the name to Deviant Lounge, because I just, it feels weird, a solo person just talking with nothing under the bed.
Sure.
So I put that, and I've noticed you do that. You got some music under there. I read from a script now and then. It sounds like you do occasionally too, but we both sound like we read okay. Like it's listenable. I'm not dogging on you. I'm just saying I can tell when you're reading the script, and I can tell when I'm reading the script. And I'm not
on the solo episodes. Yeah, like I I'll read along with what I got. You're absolutely right, 100%.
Yeah, and I had to train my AI to write it like I speak. Like, look at the history of things I've asked you in our relationship and write it more like that. And I also have a huge paragraph of words it's been instructed never to use. Delve, dive, all these fucking words. I'm like, never use the word dive unless you're explaining a person jumping into a body of water. We will not take a deep dive ever into anything. I'm not delving. Humans don't say delve. I've never used that word in my.
Who the fuck delves?
Yeah, I have a huge paragraph of words I will send over to you, and my life's been really better
that's great.
since I put that in the chat GPT.
Yeah.
I gave it one of the master commands. Never ever use these.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I use ChatGPT. I do. Like, it's part of it. It helps. I use it as a tool.
Mine's the argument thing, right? Like I can come up with kind of both sides, but I'm like, well, why are these fucking people so dumb about this one idea? And then it'll give me ideas about. I'm like, well, so if they think that, well, why do they think this? And it'll again provide like a dialectic behavioral therapy kind of thing, like a back and forth. So that helps a lot. I hesitate to use it because it writes like a computer for writing, and even when it writes me a script, I try to steamroll over the parts that are dumb. Like I'll say, please use contractions. I speak in contractions. Humans speak in contractions, so use those, and that's pretty neat. So So anyway, I'm sorry I digressed so far, but to the listener, if you like this show, go listen to The Story Of, and there's all kinds of interesting things. It's very similar like this, like I said, and you can hear Danny's good at speaking. He's got people that show up on the regular so they can have, kind of casual conversations with people who know how to speak, and once in a while throw in a really poignant topic that might provoke you into something. So I like all of that stuff. I think you're doing, I wouldn't say right, because I don't know that there's a right way to do podcasting, but you do podcasting the way I like to, keep it consistent, keep it persistent, and kind of learn on the way as you go.
Yeah, man. Awesome.
Keep the expectations realistic.
Yeah, we try.
Thanks, man. Shout out
Thank you
to
for having me, brother. Appreciate
anytime,
it,
dude. Shout out to Unfiltered Studios for sharing Danny with us, and I'll put the links to those guys down below as well. So check it out. Have a great rest of your afternoon. All right.